Hello, little friend. I am so happy you came today. Can you wave at me? Wave your little hand. Yes, just like that. Yeah, you are so smart and so special.
Teacher Zoe, are we gonna hear a story today? I love stories. Is it a superhero story? Because I am already a superhero just like Zion.
Oh, Nora. Yes, today is definitely a superhero story. But this superhero, you can't see them with your eyes. They live inside you, your spirit. Your spirit lives inside you. And today, we are going to learn how to make your spirit grow very strong with God. Ready to find out how? Okay, little friends. First, let me ask you a big question. Are you ready? Here it comes. What is a spirit? Okay, I know you don't know what it means. Let me tell you something wonderful. You are made of 3 parts. 3. 1, your body. You can touch your body. You can see it. 2, your soul. That's the part that thinks and feels, like when you are happy or sad or excited. And 3, your spirit. Your spirit is the deepest, most amazing part of you. It is the part that talks to God. Your spirit and God talk like this: God, I love you. And God answers in your heart, I love you too, my precious child. Now, when your spirit grows, it becomes strong. Amazing things happen. You can hear God better. You can be kind even when it's hard. You can be brave even when you are scared. You can love more and more and more. That is what we call gaining ascendancy in the spirit realm. It means your spirit wins. It means your spirit gets bigger and stronger and rises up like a butterfly from a tiny, tiny egg. When your spirit is growing, you are growing closer to God. And that is the best kind of growth. Now, let me tell you about something that happened a very long time ago. A long, long time ago. Even before your mommy and daddy were born, even before their mummies and daddies were born, there was a man named Moses. He was God's very special helper. Moses listened to God very carefully. He obeyed God. And because he obeyed, God used him to do amazing things. We will talk more about that, but first, the story. Moses stood before all the people, all of them. Thousands and thousands, so many people. And he said, this is what God is asking. He wants to build a very special house, a house where he can live close to his people. A holy place called the tabernacle, like a beautiful house. God loved his people so much that he wanted to be near them. He wanted a special place where they could come and feel his presence, talk to him, and worship him. And to build this house, he needed help from his people. Now here is the most special part. God said, everyone who is willing, everyone whose heart moves them, let them bring something.
Willing? What does willing mean?
Oh, great question, Zion. Willing means you want to do it. Not because someone is forcing you, not because you are scared, but because your heart says yes. Like if I asked, who wants a chocolate? And your hand shot up, that's willing. So the people went home, and they brought back gold and silver and blue and purple fabric and animals and oil and jewels. They brought everything they had, because their hearts said yes.
They gave their gold? I don't have gold.
Oh, Nora, you don't need gold. What do you have that you could give to God?
My songs? I sing to God sometimes.
Oh, Ella, do you know what? The Bible says God loves when we sing to him. That is a perfect gift. When you give your best, that is what makes God's heart so happy. Okay, friends, story question time. Are you ready? When the people brought their gifts to God, did they do it because someone forced them? Did they do it because they were scared? Did they do it because their hearts were full of love for God?
Yes, love for God.
That is right. All the Israelite men and women who were willing brought to the Lord free will offerings for all the work the Lord through Moses had commanded them to do. Free will offerings. That means they gave freely. No one pushed them. Their spirit was speaking. And that is what we call a willing heart, and it helps us grow in God. Now, let me ask you something. When you give something from your heart, like when you share your snack with a friend who has none, how does it feel inside? It feels so amazing. That is your spirit growing. Every time you give from love, every time you share, every time you help, every time you say a kind word, your spirit gets a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, a little bit more like God. And that, my darlings, is gaining ascendancy in the spirit realm. Your spirit is rising up. Your spirit is winning. Not against people, your spirit wins against selfishness, against meanness, against sadness, against greed. When your spirit grows strong, you become more and more like the beautiful person God made you to be. Okay, my little friends, I want to tell you something very important. When the people brought their gifts to God, they were also doing something else that was very special. Do you know what it was? Moses, God's servant, told the people what God wanted, they listened, and then they obeyed. They went and got their gold, their silver, their gifts, and they did exactly what Moses told them God wanted. And because they obeyed, something incredible happened. The tabernacle, God's beautiful house, got built, and God could come closer to his people. Now, my darlings, you have very special people in your life who are like Moses for you. Do you know who they are?
My mommy?
Yes, your mommy and daddy. And who else?
Our teacher?
That's right, your teachers and your elders. These people love you so much. And sometimes, just like Moses told the people what God wanted your mommy or daddy or teacher, tells you what is good for you, what is safe for you, what will help you grow. So when mommy says, time to sleep, and you feel like, but mommy, I don't want to, what should your spirit say?
Yes, mommy!
Yes, because rest helps your body and your spirit grow. When daddy says, don't touch that, it's hot, your spirit says what?
Yes, daddy!
Because daddy loves you and keeps you safe. When teacher says, sit nicely and listen, your spirit says, what?
Yes, teacher!
Do you know what happens when you obey the people who love you? Your spirit practices submission. And submission means, let me make it simple. Submission means saying, your love for me is bigger than what I want right now. It is saying, I trust you and obeying. And when your spirit learns to trust, guess what? It becomes easier to trust God. Your spirit grows stronger every single time you obey with love. Now, obedience doesn't mean you can never ask a question. Moses' people asked questions too, but they asked kindly, and then they listened, and then they OBYD. That is the difference between a growing spirit and a stuck spirit. Let's practice. I'll say a thing a mommy or daddy might say, and you say what a strong spirit would say back. Ready? Please wash your hands before eating.
Yes, daddy!
Oh, you are so wonderful children. Every time you obey from love, not from fear, but from love, your spirit is doing little exercises, like how your legs get stronger when you run. Your spirit gets stronger when you obey God, your parents, your teachers, and your elder ones. From love. My little ones, we have been talking about something so big today. And now we come to the biggest thing of all. Why did the people in our story give their gold and their silver and their best things? Was it because Moses made them?
No, they just loved God.
Genuine love. Do you know what genuine means? Genuine means something real, true, from the very deepest part of your heart. Not pretend, not just on the outside. Real love from inside. Like when you wake up in the morning and before you even eat your breakfast, before you even put on your shoes, your little heart says, "Good morning, God, I love you." Not because someone told you to say it, but because you really mean it. That is genuine love. Now listen, my little friends, this is the secret to gaining ascendancy in your spirit. Are you ready for the secret? The more you genuinely love God, the more your spirit grows. The more your spirit grows, the more you can hear God. The more you hear God, the more you know Him. The more you know Him, the more you look like Him. And the more you look like Him, the more the whole spirit world sees your spirit rising up, gaining ascendancy, getting stronger, bigger, more beautiful. They are some daily things that feed your spirit's love for God. Number 1, talk to God every day, morning, afternoon, night. Just talk. Tell Him what you see. Tell him when you are happy. Tell him when you are sad. Tell him what you want. God loves to hear your little voice. That is called prayer. Number 2, be kind. When you are kind to someone, especially when it is hard, you are showing the love of God through your little hands and your little heart. And God sees, and He smiles, and your spirit grows. Number 3, say thank you to God for your food, for your bed, for your mommy and daddy, for sunny days and rainy days. Gratitude saying thank you is like giving a gift back to God, just like the people in Exodus who brought their gold. You bring your thank you. Number 4, 4 fingers. Obey. We already talked about this, but obey your parents, your teachers, and what God's word says. Because obedience is love in action. It is showing God you trust Him by doing what is right. Lastly, listen to stories about God, like we are doing right now. When you listen to Bible stories, your spirit eats. It is like spiritual food for your spirit. Now, I want you to listen to this story.
Close your eyes for just a moment. Imagine the most beautiful night sky you have ever seen in your whole life. No city lights, no buildings, just endless darkness above you. So thick and so deep it feels like velvet, and scattered across it, like someone took a handful of diamonds and flung them across the heavens. Stars. Millions and millions and millions of stars. Can you see them? Good. Now hold on to that picture, because this story, this incredible, heart-stopping, breathtaking story, it begins right there, underneath those stars, with one old man and one impossible promise. This is the story of Abraham and Isaac, and I promise you, by the time it is over, you will never look at love the same way again. In a land ancient beyond memory, a land of sweeping golden deserts, rocky hills, and skies so wide they seemed to go on forever, there lived an old man named Abraham. Now, when we say old, children, we don't mean the kind of old like your grandfather who needs his glasses to read the newspaper. We mean really, really old. Abraham was 100 years old. 100. His hair was the color of fresh snow. His hands were wrinkled like old leather, worn from decades of sun and wind and work. His walk was slow and deliberate, like a great old tree that has survived 1,000 storms and knows it has nothing left to prove. But those eyes, oh, those eyes of his, when you looked into Abraham's eyes, you didn't see tiredness, you didn't see defeat. You saw something that burned like coals in a winter fire, something fierce and unshakable and alive. You saw faith. Abraham believed in God, not just a little bit, not just on special occasions, not just when things were going well. Abraham believed in God the way the earth believes in gravity, completely, totally, without question. God said something, and Abraham moved. God promised something, and Abraham waited. Even when it made no sense, even when everyone around him shook their heads and whispered and wondered if the old man had lost his mind. And Abraham's wife, his beloved, his partner, his best friend through all the long years, was a woman named Sarah. She was 90 years old, and she was just as remarkable as her husband. Together, Abraham and Sarah had walked through deserts that would have broken lesser people. They had left their home, their family, their comfort, everything they knew because God had told them to go. They had lived in tents when they could have had palaces. They had kept trusting when every earthly reason to trust had long since dried up. And the one thing they had always longed for, the one prayer they had whispered into the dark for decades, had always been the same. A child, just one child. Sarah had never been able to have children, and as the years had turned to decades, they had learned to live with that ache, that hollow, tender place in their hearts where a child's laughter should have been. And then, when Abraham was 99 years old, God had appeared to him, and God had said something so extraordinary, so impossible, so utterly beyond the reach of normal human logic, that when Sarah overheard it from inside the tent, she laughed. Not a joyful laugh, a disbelieving one. The laugh of someone who has hoped for so long that hoping itself has become painful. Me? A baby? Now? I am 90 years old. This is not possible. But here is what God had said in return. And children, burn these words into your hearts because they are among the most powerful words ever spoken. Is anything too hard for God? Think about that. Is anything too hard for God? The answer, as Abraham and Sarah were about to discover, was no. 9 months later, in what must have been the most astonishing, most tearful, most absolutely joy-drenched morning in the history of their long lives, Sarah held a baby in her arms, a real, living, breathing, pink-faced, screaming baby boy. He had tiny curled fists. He had the softest cheeks in all the ancient world. He had his father's eyes and his mother's smile, and a cry so loud it probably startled every sheep within a mile of that tent. And Abraham, this 100-year-old man, this great, weathered, ancient patriarch, crumpled to his knees and wept like a child himself, happy tears, the best kind. They named him Isaac, which means, in their language, he laughs. Because God had done the impossible, because the prayer that seemed too old to still be alive had finally been answered, because joy, real, overwhelming, can't contain it joy, sometimes sounds exactly like laughter. Isaac grew. And oh, children, what a boy he was! He was curious about everything. He asked questions constantly about the stars, about the animals, about the fire, about God. He had his father's courage and his mother's warmth, and he possessed that particular kind of childhood joy that is so pure and so radiant, it seems to light up every room, or in their case, every tent and every hillside and every desert trail. He was the kind of child who made old people feel young again just by smiling at them. He followed Abraham everywhere, everywhere. When Abraham rose before dawn to pray, Isaac was there, sitting cross-legged in the sand beside him, watching his father talk to the sky with the complete trusting attention that only children can give. When Abraham tended the flocks, Isaac was there, trying to carry a lamb that was almost bigger than himself, stumbling and giggling and refusing to put it down. When Abraham told stories of God's faithfulness, Isaac sat at his feet with his chin in his hands and his eyes wide, drinking in every word as though it were the most precious water in the driest desert. And Abraham? Oh, Abraham loved this boy with every single atom of his ancient, faithful heart. You know how some loves are quiet and steady, like a river that never stops flowing? That is how Abraham loved Isaac. Not with shouting or grand gestures, but with a deep, constant, unshakable love that had roots going all the way down to the very center of who he was. Isaac was not just his son. Isaac was his miracle. Isaac was the living, breathing, laughing proof that God keeps his promises. Every time Abraham looked at that boy's face, every time Isaac called out, "Abba, Father," across the hillside, something in Abraham's chest would swell with a gratitude so enormous it barely fit inside a human body. How do you love a miracle? With everything you have. That is how Abraham loved Isaac. And that is why when the night came that changed everything, it nearly destroyed him. It was an ordinary night. That is always how the most extraordinary moments begin, isn't it? Not with trumpets, not with warning, just an ordinary night. The camp was quiet, the fire had burned low, Sarah slept peacefully in the tent. The sheep were still, the desert breathed its cool, ancient breath across the sleeping landscape, and Abraham was awake. He often was in the deep hours. Old men don't sleep as soundly as children, and Abraham would use these still, dark hours the way he always did. He would sit under the stars and talk to God. Not formal prayers with careful words, just talking, the way you talk to someone you've known your whole life, with honesty, with gratitude, with the comfortable quiet of long-established love. And then God spoke. not like someone tapping you on the shoulder, not a voice coming through a speaker. It was something that filled Abraham completely and unmistakably from the inside, like light filling a dark room. The kind of voice you know beyond any shadow of any doubt is real, and it is holy, and it requires your full attention. Abraham sat up straighter. "Abraham," God said. And Abraham, without hesitation, because this was who he was, this was the habit of a lifetime, answered immediately, "Here I am." 3 words, just 3. But in those 3 words lived everything. I am listening. I am present. I am yours. Whatever you say, I am ready. And then God said something that Abraham was not ready for. "Take your son," God said. Abraham's heart rate quickened, but he listened. "Your only son." Abraham's hands, resting on his knees, tightened slightly. Isaac. That name, that precious, miraculous name. Abraham felt it land on his chest like a physical weight. "Whom you love." God knew. Of course God knew. God knew the depth of this love better than Abraham himself could measure it. "And go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you." And Abraham sat, very still. The fire crackled, a sheep shifted somewhere in the darkness, the stars continued their ancient, indifferent burning. Abraham was not a stone, he was a man, a father, a human being made of flesh and blood and love, and the love he had for Isaac was real and enormous, and it was, in this moment, being asked to face the most unthinkable thing a parent can imagine. I believe he pressed his face into his hands. I believe he trembled. And I believe, and this is the extraordinary thing, the staggering thing, that somewhere in the dark of that tent, he chose to trust.
Not because it didn't hurt. It hurt, with a pain so profound it had no name in any human language. But because Abraham had walked with God for decades, and he knew, down in the very foundation of his soul, that God was good, that God had never once broken a promise, that the God who had given him this miracle boy was not a God of cruelty, but a God of purpose, whose ways were sometimes beyond understanding, but never beyond trust. He believed that even if the unthinkable happened, God could raise Isaac from the dead. He trusted God that completely, that absolutely. And so, with that extraordinary, supernatural, impossible faith burning like a coal in the center of his shattered heart, Abraham made a decision. He would go. He would trust. Abraham rose early, before the sun, before Sarah stirred, before the camp had shaken off the night. He saddled his donkey with steady, deliberate hands. He split wood for the offering, carefully, methodically, the rhythmic sound of the axe a strange kind of comfort in the gray morning silence. He gathered provisions for the journey, and he called 2 young servants. And then, with a breath that may have been the deepest breath he ever drew in his long life, he went to wake his son. He stepped softly to where Isaac lay sleeping. He crouched beside the boy. In the pale pre-dawn light, he looked at his son's face for a long, long moment. What did he think, looking at that sleeping face? What do any of us think when we watch someone we love, sleeping in perfect peace, completely unaware of what is coming? We memorize them. We etch every detail into the permanent record of our hearts. We say things in our mind that we don't have words for out loud. Abraham reached out, carefully, gently, and touched Isaac's shoulder. "Isaac, my son, wake up." Isaac's eyes opened, that beautiful, sleepy confusion of a child pulled from dreams, and then, seeing his father's face, he broke into an immediate sunrise smile. "Abba!" Abraham pulled the boy into a hug that lasted just a fraction too long. Isaac didn't notice. Children never notice. "Come," Abraham said, his voice steady as stone. "We have a journey today, you and I." Isaac was up like a shot. A journey with Abba, just the 2 of them. For Isaac, this was the most exciting thing in the world. He scrambled for his sandals, chattering immediately, about where they were going, about how long it would take, about whether they would see eagles on the high mountain passes, about whether Abba would tell him stories on the way. Abraham answered every question, quietly, steadily, with a gentle smile that cost him more than Isaac could know. The small party set out: Abraham, Isaac, 2 servants, a donkey. They walked away from the camp as the sun began to rise behind them, golden light spilling across the desert floor. Sarah watched them go from the tent entrance. She did not know what lay ahead. Abraham had not told her. She raised her hand as they grew smaller against the morning light. "God go with you," she whispered. She didn't know how desperately she meant it. The journey to Moriah took 3 days. 3 days of walking under that ancient sky. 3 days of eating simple food and sleeping on the ground and watching the stars wheel overhead in their great, silent procession. For Isaac, these were 3 of the best days of his young life. He and his father walked together for hours. Abraham told him stories, the old stories, the ones Isaac loved best, about creation, about the flood, about the call that had sent their family on the great adventure of following God. He told them with his characteristic quietness, pausing at the good parts, watching Isaac's face light up with wonder. On the evening of the first day, they lay on their backs looking up at the immense dark sky above them. "Abba," Isaac said, his small voice floating up into the stars, "tell me about the stars again. You said God told you your family would be as many as the stars. Is that true? How can people be like stars?" Abraham was quiet for a long moment. "Because God said so," he said finally, "and God does not say things he does not mean." Isaac accepted this with the complete and peaceful confidence of a child who has never had reason to doubt his father. "Good," he said. "I like that." He was asleep within minutes. Abraham lay awake for a very long time. And then, on the 3rd day, Abraham looked up, and he saw it, the mountain. It rose above the surrounding highlands like a great dark throne against the sky. The top of it was lost in cloud. The sides of it were steep and rocky and wild. It was not beautiful in any comfortable way. It was the kind of landscape that makes you feel very small and makes you very aware that you are standing in a place where something enormous is happening. And Abraham, in his soul, the way a person knows these things when they've been walking with God as long as he had, he knew. That was the mountain. Abraham turned to his servants, and with a voice that was perfectly, quietly, impossibly calm, he said, "Stay here with the donkey. The boy and I will go over there and worship, and we will come back to you." Not "I will," we. He believed it. He had to. He chose to. Because faith is not always a feeling. Sometimes faith is a decision you make in the dark, when nothing inside you feels certain except the character of the God you are trusting. Then Abraham turned to Isaac. "Come, my son, take the wood." He lifted the bundle of wood fire on Isaac's shoulders, and he himself took the fire and the knife. Together they began to climb. They climbed in silence at first. The mountain was steep, and the path was narrow, and the rocks were treacherous in places, and Isaac had to watch his feet carefully with the wood on his back. Abraham climbed beside him, one hand always ready, always close, the way fathers walk beside children on dangerous paths. The world fell away below them. The servants became tiny figures. The sky pressed closer. The clouds moved around the mountain's shoulders like a great, slow shawl. And then Isaac spoke. He looked up at his father with clear, trusting eyes. The wood balanced across his small shoulders, his face open with genuine curiosity. "Abba, look, we have the fire and we have the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" Oh, this moment, this moment. If you want to see the full, staggering weight of what Abraham was enduring, look at this question. Look at those innocent eyes asking it. Look at this boy who has no idea that his father is struggling with something so immense it would have flattened a lesser man entirely. Where is the lamb? Abraham stopped walking. He turned to look at his son. And what moved across Abraham's face in that moment, what surged through his ancient, faithful, anguished heart, we will never fully know. But he answered.
He answered with words that thousands of years later still ring like a bell across human history. God himself will provide the lamb, my son. And then, because he could not stand still in this moment, because to stand still might mean to collapse, he reached out, squeezed Isaac's shoulder with one great weathered hand, and said, "Come, let us go on together." And together they went on. They reached the top, and Abraham, with hands that were steady when they had no right to be, with a heart that was breaking while it was trusting, began to do what needed to be done. He gathered stones, one by one, heavy, deliberate. He built the altar. Isaac helped. Of course he did. He didn't know why they were building it here, at the very top of this wild, lonely mountain, but his father was building it, so Isaac was building it. He carried stones with his small arms, placed them where Abraham indicated, stood back to look with the serious, helpful face of a boy who wants to do a good job. When the altar was built, Abraham arranged the wood upon it, and then he turned to his son. He knelt down so that he and Isaac were eye to eye. He took the boy's face in his hands, those great, weathered, gentle hands. What passed between them in this moment, Scripture does not record word for word, but it tells us that Isaac went willingly, that when Abraham explained what God had asked, this son, this miracle boy, this child of absolute faith in their parents' God, chose to trust, just as his father had. Isaac had grown up listening to his father talk about God. He had watched Abraham pray. He had seen what a life of faith actually looked like day after day, year after year. And now, at this terrifying, incomprehensible moment, the son became his father. He chose to believe, not because he wasn't frightened, but because somewhere in his young, faithful heart, he had decided the same thing his father had decided. God is good. God can be trusted, even here, even now.
Abraham lifted his son and placed him on the altar. And Abraham stood over his son, his miracle, his boy, his Isaac, with eyes that were full of something beyond tears, something that is only visible in human faces at the absolute edges of endurance, where love and faith and pain have burned away everything else and left only the pure, molten core of who a person truly is. He raised the knife with shaking hands and an unshaking heart. "Abraham!" The voice came from everywhere, from the sky, from the mountain, from inside his bones, from the very fabric of creation itself, which had apparently been holding its breath along with everyone else. Abraham's hand froze. The knife did not fall. "Here I am!" he cried. And there was so much in those 3 words this time: relief, joy, trembling, exhaustion, love, faith vindicated, hope not crushed. The voice came again, warm and urgent. "Do not lay your hand on the boy or do anything to him, for now I know that you fear God, seeing you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me." Abraham's arm dropped. The knife clattered from his fingers onto the stone. He crumpled to his knees beside the altar. Relief so total it was almost grief. Joy so enormous it could barely be borne. He reached for Isaac immediately. These hands, these father's hands, untying the cords, lifting the boy, pulling him close, holding him with the desperate, grateful, fiercely tender grip of a parent who has been given back the most precious thing in the world. Isaac's arms wrapped around his father's neck. Abraham pressed his face into the boy's hair. Did they cry? How could they not? Did they stay like that for a long time, just holding each other on top of that wild, holy mountain, with the wind moving around them and the sky blazing above them? I believe they did. I believe that is exactly what happened. 2 human beings, an ancient man and his miracle boy, holding each other on the summit of a mountain that had just become the most sacred place either of them would ever stand. And then something caught Abraham's eye. There, in a thicket of thorns nearby, something was moving. Something was stuck. Abraham rose slowly to his feet and walked toward the thicket with cautious, wondering steps. He pushed aside a branch and looked in and laughed. Actually laughed. A magnificent, woolly, ridiculously tangled ram with its great curved horns caught completely in the thorn bushes. It looked at Abraham with the indignant expression of an animal that has absolutely no idea it is part of a miracle and would rather just be unstuck and back on the hillside, please and thank you. Isaac appeared at his father's side. He looked at the ram. He looked at his father. His eyes went wide. Abba, yes. God provided the lamb. Yes, my son. Abraham's voice broke on the words, just barely. He put his arm around Isaac's shoulders and pulled him close. He always does. Abraham made the offering. The smoke rose up into the brilliant sky, and God spoke again, and this time his voice was like warm rain after a long drought. Because you have done this thing, and have not withheld your son, your only son, I will surely bless you. I will multiply your descendants as the stars of the heaven and as the sand which is on the seashore. And in your descendants all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. Abraham looked up at the sky, the same sky he had looked at all those years ago when God had first made this promise, and he breathed deeply, completely, like a man who has just been allowed to breathe again after holding his breath for 3 impossibly long days. And Abraham named that place. He called it Jehovah Jireh, the Lord will provide, because that is what God had done. That is what God had always done. That is what God would always do. They came down the mountain together, the same 2 sets of footsteps on the same stone path. But everything was different now. The light was different. The air was different. They were different. Abraham walked with something in his step that hadn't been there on the way up. Not lightness exactly. The weight of what had happened was still very much with him, but something like peace. The deep, unshakable peace of someone who has come through fire and found that they did not burn, who has faced the absolute limit of themselves and found God already there waiting. Isaac walked quietly beside his father. He was thinking, the way children think when something big has happened, seriously, carefully, turning it over and over in his mind like a smooth stone. They walked in comfortable silence for a while. Then Isaac spoke. Abba, yes. A pause. I want to know God like you know God. Abraham stopped walking. He looked at his son, and something in his face, some combination of love and pain and joy and gratitude and wonder and absolute overwhelming tenderness, he nodded, slowly. You already do, my son, he said softly. You already do. He took Isaac's hand. They walked on. The servants saw them coming from far off, both of them, 2 figures, side by side, descending the mountain together in the long golden evening light. They didn't know what had happened up there on the mountain, but they knew, somehow, in the wordless way that people sometimes know things, that something holy had occurred, something they might spend the rest of their lives trying to understand. And together, all of them, Abraham and Isaac and the 2 young servants and the very relieved donkey, they turned back toward home, toward the camp, toward Sarah. Night had almost fallen by the time they saw the fire camps in the distance, warm light glowing across the dark desert floor like earthbound stars. And there, standing at the edge of the firelight, having watched the horizon all day with the focused, fierce anxiety of a mother who doesn't know what's happening but knows in her bones that it is something, was Sarah. She saw them coming while they were still far off, 1 shape, then 2. She pressed her hands to her mouth, and then she ran. 90-year-old Sarah ran across the desert sand, her silver hair loose around her shoulders, because when the people you love most in the world come home safe, you run. Age has nothing to do with it. She reached them and grabbed Isaac first, pulling him to her with a fierceness that made him laugh in surprise, holding him like the miracle he was, whispering things into his hair that nobody else could hear. Then she looked at Abraham, and in his face, because she knew this man better than she knew her own heartbeat, she read everything that had happened. Not the details, not the words, but the truth of it, the immensity of it, the holiness of what they had both just barely survived. Her eyes filled with tears. She reached out and took his face in her hands, the same way he had taken Isaac's face on the mountain. "Husband," she whispered. He covered her hands. "We are home. We are all home." The fire crackled. The stars emerged overhead, brilliant and numberless, and Abraham, this 100-year-old man, this ancient patriarch, this mountain-tested, heaven-trusted father, looked up at the sky. For a long, long moment, he just looked. All those stars, all that promises, all that faithfulness, all that love. He smiled.
And so, dear children, dear grown-ups, the story of Abraham and Isaac came to an end on the mountain of Moriah. But the lessons it carried, those never ended. They echo across every generation. They reach through every century. They find us in our own moments of impossible difficulty and whisper the same things they whispered to an old man on a mountain a very long time ago. The first lesson, God sees you. That name, Jehovah Jireh, the Lord will provide. It doesn't just mean God gives things, it means God sees. He sees the ram in the thicket before you even know to look for it. He sees the way out of the impossible situation. He sees the end from the beginning. He sees you, in your confusion, in your fear, in your desperate trusting, and He is already working. The second lesson, obedience is not the absence of feeling, it is the presence of trust. Abraham was not a robot. He was not numb. He felt everything. Every ounce of the love that made the request so agonizing, but he chose to trust God's character over his own understanding. And that is what faith looks like in the real world. Not the absence of fear, but the decision to walk forward anyway. The third lesson, and perhaps the deepest one, God does not ask for what He is not willing to give. The God who asked Abraham to offer his son is the same God who thousands of years later would stand in Abraham's shoes himself. For God so loved the world that He gave His only Son on another hill with another sacrifice, except this time there was no voice to stop it. This time, the Father Himself bore what He had spared Abraham from bearing because His love for all of us was that enormous. Moriah was not just a test, it was a preview, a whisper of the greatest love story ever told. And through that love, the promise given to Abraham finally and completely came true. In your descendants, all the nations of the earth shall be blessed. Every nation, including yours, including mine, including every child listening to this story.
Okay, quiz time, quiz time. I'm going to ask questions and whoever answers gets a golden star sticker. Ready? Question 1. What are the 3 parts of a person?
Body, soul, spirit.
Very good. Question 2. What does willing mean?
It means you want to do it from your heart.
That's great. Question 3. What happens to your spirit when you obey your parents and teachers?
It grows. It gets bigger.
Wow, that's wonderful. Question 4. What is the secret to gaining ascendancy in your spirit?
Loving God for real. Genuinely, from our heart.
Nice one, children. We have come to the end of today's teaching. See you in our next class. Bye.